Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning into the COVID-19 lockdown account. Today, I've got Sarah with me. Sarah is a coffee shop owner all the way over in Malta who has just come out of lockdown with her son, daughter, and husband. So, Sarah, how are we doing right now?
Hello from Malta. Things are looking up at the moment. I mean, they're starting to reopening the businesses and people are going out more. But we still have to social distance and in groups of 6 for the time being. Mm-hmm. So gradually, and the numbers are quite stable at the moment. So we're doing quite well, even though you kind of get a bit frightened that it might go up again. You know, there's still the fear factor going on over here. There's the public is still a bit cautious to actually go out, you know, so especially when it comes to the elderly. I mean, obviously, every household has, you've got your grandparents and whatever, and at the moment we're being told to distance ourselves from them, which is very difficult. It's been over 2 months, and, you know, even on the mental state of the elderly. I mean, to stay inside and not go out, you know, and not have their loved ones visiting them, it's quite hard on them. Yeah. But overall, I mean, we're coping quite well over here.
Well, that's good to hear. That's really good to hear. Now, you guys are a little bit ahead of us. You know, you went into lockdown, you told me earlier, around the middle of March towards...
That's right.
Whereas we were about a week after that. So I think you're probably in your 11th week and we are in our 10th, which is crazy to think about that period of time. But you guys are coming out into the world. Now, talk to me about your coffee shop, because it's a little bit more than just a coffee shop, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a coffee shop. It's a social enterprise. So basically, it's a business that we feed our charity through our business. We have activities in the shop and the revenue. And we feed our charity SURVIVORS MALTA through the revenue at our coffee shop. And so when we had to close down, obviously it didn't just affect our business; it affected our charity as well. And the money we raise for the charity goes towards projects that are based at the hospital. So unfortunately, there was lots of restrictions with regards to the hospital. Which are understandable, and we had to just stop the projects for the time being until hopefully to better days now. But we will continue. We're determined to continue. We're determined to reopen the coffee shop and to continue with what we were doing, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, are you finding that there are, you know, that there are people that are wary of using the businesses that have opened? Like, is there a scarcity there?
Yes. I mean, the catering establishments have been opened over a week now, and business is really slow. I mean, people are just not going out to eat, you know. People are still very wary. And with the regulations that are in place, which means that the seating has to be socially distanced, obviously the capacity of the restaurants and coffee shops and whatever are a fraction of what they can be fully functioning. I mean, take for example my coffee shop, which by the way I haven't opened yet. It's only going to have like a third of its actual capacity, so it would be like really running on minimal revenue. You know, it's like ridiculous. Plus, you still have to pay the rent, and you have the running costs, wages. You know, these are all things you have to consider. And at this point, I think we just have to sustain the business so that it won't go under. You know, it's a small enterprise, a small business. And I think the ones that are going to suffer the most are the small businesses, because their profits are their bread and butter. Whereas a larger business, the profits are the profits. Whereas if you sustain the business and you've got no profits coming out of it, then obviously you're running in the minus on a personal front, you know. But as I said before, we also provide for our charity. So, you know, for us, going in the minus is like, but then again, quitting is not an option either, because we worked so hard to build up our coffee shop, this social enterprise, that the thought of it closing down, just, you know, it's unbearable. It's our baby, you know.
I think as well, you seem to be a bit of a social hub by the sounds of things.
Yeah.
A lot of the community obviously use you and stuff. And
Yes. I know that our loyal customers will support us when we do open our doors. Our loyal customers will support us. I'm 100% sure about that. I've been receiving messages and phone calls from the customers, and they're very supportive of us because of what we do. We give back a lot to the community. So I do believe, like, you reap what you sow. So I'm sure it's going to come back on us. I'm very hopeful.
Yeah,
but I haven't opened yet. We were allowed to open in the past weeks, but we've decided to wait out June. Again, in the minors, because we're paying out rent. But we decided to wait out June to see the numbers, if they remain stable. If the numbers remain stable, the number of cases remain stable, then we would feel much more confident to open. I've got to think about the health side as well, for my customers, for my family, for my son Jacob, who is vulnerable. So, all these things to think about. Plus having to worry about the money factors and the financial side of it. In reality, you have to open because otherwise the business will fold. And a lot of businesses over here are facing that reality, which is quite, the government's been pretty good. I mean, they've been giving us like wage supplements and, incentives and that. I mean, and they're actually introducing a pre-budget on next Monday now, a week today. We're going to have an emergency budget to see what's going to. They're probably going to offer maybe some more incentives for us. But no one knows what's ahead, It's very hard,
I think...
uncertain.
I think it's very uncertain, but I also think that the best way, really, to dampen the blow of an imminent recession is to pump money back in to the small businesses, pump money back in to people's wages, because effectively they'll keep spending, right? And that's obviously the only way that the economy will work. It's when nobody's got any money.
Exactly, you have to keep it flowing. Exactly. It's a two-way sword because you have to open up the economy, but at the same time you have to keep the public safe. So it's a two-way sword. But I do believe that by waiting June now, like I said to you, as I see the numbers remain steady, hopefully they will remain steady over here, then I think the public will become more confident to actually go out into the world again, and as I will be, because the same with me, because I'm not confident at the moment, but I know by the end of June, and if it stays steady, I will know that I can't carry on living in this bubble, You have to go out there, you have to face the world, I mean, I'm a person that I work 7 days a week. I work like a dog, who knows me knows that. To run a business, you have to be hands-on, So from that, suddenly having to just do nothing, be a lady of leisure, it's been quite hard for me, actually. I go walking a lot. And, it's been difficult. I've been cooking more, so usually I have an excuse not to cook. I come home from work and my husband cooks for me. But now I've got no excuses now. I have to cook for him. And, that's a bummer.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's the little things that you'll remember. You'll be staying.
I'm quite enjoying it. I'm quite enjoying it, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm making the most of the break, I suppose,
And what about things like schools over there? Are they still shut?
Schools, they were closed even before the businesses over here. And it was, I think the decision was made because the children could become carriers and take it home to the families, and the families could pass it on to the elderly. So the first things they did over here was close the schools and also restrict the elderly from advising them not to go out, to stay at home and stay safe. That was the main thing. And then eventually all the public were being told to stay at home and stay safe. Businesses were closed. Not all the businesses, though. We had the construction and the factories and the shops. And some shops remained open, For example, hairdressers and that. They stayed open longer. They weren't considered, it was a different way than the UK are doing it. Because I've been watching what the UK are doing. totally different from what they were doing. You know, in fact, the UK went down into total lockdown. We didn't actually do that. Our one was gradual. It was very gradual lockdown, and it wasn't full either. It wasn't full lockdown, and our numbers were quite, you know, favourable really, considering, you know. But I think being an island, we have the advantage because we are contained, you know.
Yeah.
So even when they decided to close down the airports and the seaports, you know, I think that was the final decision then, you know. That's when it sort of got more real, I suppose, you know. So, but now they're even talking about opening up the airports and, you know, opening up the establishments, you know, in the coming weeks. So, you know, they're trying to keep it as normal as possible, but it's the new normal. It's not the how it was. No. Which unfortunately means that the businesses will not be making as much profits as they were, because they're still incurring the running costs, but they're making hardly any profit, just sustaining the business. So, you know, it's quite a hard time, difficult times ahead.
I think, I mean, we've got all that to come, and the biggest element really is the fear factor. You know, people are still wary, and it's, you know,
that's it. Yeah.
It's something that's come up in a lot of these interviews, and especially people overseas that are now coming out of lockdown and giving me a bit of an insight to what we're going to expect over here in the UK. I spoke to someone in New Zealand the other day, and some people over in certain areas of America, and they're coming out of lockdown, and they're saying that a bit like when an animal that's been in captivity for a long period of time is suddenly, you know, they kind of open up the gate, don't they? And the animal kind of just sits in the pen for a bit, looking around because it's too scared.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what we're going through. I think that's what we're going
to. That's what I told my husband. And I said to him, eventually, once the fear leaves everybody, people are going to behave like birds let out of a cage, you know? Yeah. So then hopefully the business will thrive then, you know, sort of like, so you've got to look ahead, what will happen. I think it's the fear that's stopping us more than anything. But then again, I can understand the fear because of when you see the death rates and that abroad and that, it's quite horrific. And when you know that your loved one, your elderly loved one or sick loved one can pass away from this virus, you know, it can be the cause of it. It's quite scary, you know. So, you know, I can understand why there's the fear. I think it's going to be very hard to wean everybody off that fear, really. You know, it's been pumped into us. So stay safe, stay at home. Now it's stay alert. You know, everyone is a bit like cautious and suspicious of everybody. You know, it's quite. You know, we're living in a world, and when you wear a mask on you, it makes you look more suspicious, doesn't it? It kind of gives out this message of caution. You know, so I think we're quite a while before we actually, you know, reach the phase where the fear is eliminated, I think.
Yeah, well, definitely. And that is going to be the worry in the future, I suppose, is where, you know, is this thing going to go away? Are we going to get a vaccine? You know, is that going to be a compulsory vaccine? That's going to kick off all sorts of trouble if that is.
And you've got to be careful because the vaccine, you know, normally it will take years to come about. And if they find the vaccine, and then how trustworthy will this vaccine be? Because it's going to be rushed out, you know, to please the masses. But will it be okay, you know? Will it maybe make things worse? You never know. Because remember, a vaccine is actually injecting part of the virus into you, you know? So I think, you know, it's very, very uncertain. You know, like I said, lots of uncertainties ahead of us. But this is something, the world has never been in this situation, has it? We've had viruses before, never to this extent, you know?
Always.
And I don't think like SARS and you know, the Asian flu, Spanish flu, Chinese flu, whatever they had before, I think they never found vaccines for them either, did they?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I wouldn't want to.
I'm not sure.
I would look up the Spanish.
Yeah, I think I would try to.
Just catastrophic, which wasn't Spanish at all. It was renamed the Spanish flu because of something to do with the First World War, I believe. I think because it was ripping everyone to death in and amongst the English trenches in I think Belgium and all the way around Belgium and France, because it was absolutely destroying the front liners.
Yeah, and it killed more people than the actual
in the war.
Warfare. It's crazy, you know. And then when they thought it was all over, the second wave came, and that's the scary bit, because more people died in the second wave. And to be quite honest, I don't think we've had the second wave, you know. That's what scares me. That's what scares me personally, you know. Yeah. But, you know, I try not to think into it too much, because you will go crazy. It's crazy, man. You know, the world has been brought to its feet, you know. And then over in America, to make it worse, I mean, seeing the way that certain governments are controlling the situation, or can I say not controlling the situation. And now there's the riots going on because of what happened with this guy who was wrongfully killed. Obviously, it was a crime, and I can understand why. But then obviously, as you were saying earlier, that people will behave like they've been in lockdown, and suddenly they'll sprue out into the community. In this case, they've actually sprued out into the community, and they're actually lots of violent behaviour because they're angry. So all these emotions going through them. They were angry, they were locked in, even though they knew it was for their own benefit. And then, but then again, I think it does all depend about who's governing the land, I think, you know, the message that they are sending across, you know, the message sent across from the president or prime minister. If there's a message of like, you know, not a certain message, or maybe they're not so clear about the regulations and that, then people are going to start questioning everything then, you know. So you can understand the anger there, you know, so.
Yeah. Oh, I think I might have lost you. Oh, Sarah, we've got you back. We've got you back. Good, you're back online.
Okay. Well, as I was saying, that when you see the news abroad, I mean, over here in Malta, we're looking at the news all over the world and that, and you see the way that the governments are structuring the campaign against COVID-19, you can understand why people are getting angry in that. You know, I'm seeing the way that the Americans, even the UK, how it's being structured, and even like there's not a clear message, and people are getting confused, you know. So obviously, over here in Malta, I would say the government's handled it very well. You know, I mean, even we had directives and that, and we behaved quite well actually. But then again, we're an island, so it's much more easier to contain and control. But I think coming from the top, I think they have to show that they're confident and structured. If they don't do that, then obviously the people, I mean, the masses are going to be confused and even angry, you know? Yeah. Yeah. And in America's case, when they had this other issue about this guy who was killed, this crime that was committed to this coloured guy, I mean, obviously it was, that was the icing on the cake. That gave them reason to just sprue out into the streets and cause havoc, you know? Yeah. So it's very sad seeing those things, you know? Because I like to think that the pandemic also brought a lot of people together, that everyone realised that we were all in the same situation, and it brought us together. And you were seeing scenes all over the world of people coming together, you know, not exactly physically, but online, and you know, people singing from the balconies in Italy and that, and even in Malta we were clapping on the balconies for the healthcare services, for the people on the front line and everything. It's so nice to see such positive scenes, you know, of people coming together, and that it's lovely, you know. And it's funny enough, it's ironic, we were coming together by staying apart, which is so ironic, you know, but it is the truth. But it's sad to see that because we're actually getting back to some kind of normality, that some parts of the world are actually going back to their old ways, which is sad, you know. Even seeing the environments flourish, and, you know, all these things that were happening to the environment because there was less cars, less traffic, less human waste, you know, the waste all over everywhere. Now, when it's all or, you know, now that it's relaxing a bit, or just going back to their old ways, you know. So it's quite sad, really. You know, I can see here the traffic flow. I mean, there was no traffic jams, and now the traffic flow has been incredible. You know, you can see the difference. It's been lots of build up of traffic everywhere. You know, you can see it's going back to the way it was. You know, we didn't learn anything from it. You know, which is sad, really.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I hope that, you know, especially with the George Floyd issue over in America, with what's happened with the COVID, you know, now let's face it, when it comes to the US, they lead in some way, they lead a lot of the rest of the world. You know, the UK definitely looks at the US, and kind of in its shadow wants to take aspects from the US and bring it over here. I know that consumerism definitely is linked to the way that US operates, but I just hope that with the stuff, especially what's happened recently, with George Floyd and the rioting and the way that people are looking for answers and justice, I hope that it's going to spur a new way of thinking about human life, because I think people are going to start really appreciating what they've got, but also the idea that, you know, we can achieve more when we're together. We don't need to be constantly, constantly just out on your own path, but community can achieve so much more. And I hope that there's going to be an element of kindness, an element of understanding and acceptance.
I hope so.
Because the whole world came together on this, you know, the whole world went through this thing.
That was the plus side of everything, you know. Yeah. It's amazing.
And I
think community is important. I mean, I was talking earlier about my coffee shop. There's lots of community projects in that, you know, even, we encourage lots of community activity. And it's so important to community. I mean, we are nothing if we're not a community. Yeah. We need each other, whether we like it or not. I mean, I like to say no man is an island. I mean, you know, we all need each other. It's all teamwork, really. I mean, whatever the situation is, if we don't come together and work as one, we won't achieve anything, you know. So I really do believe in that. Nearly 3 years now, and I've seen this actually working. It's proof that it can work if you work together as a community, you know.
Yeah,
you can succeed.
Yeah, and you know, humans are amazing. You know, we've adapted so quickly to a problem that was in our way. You know, it's been hard to start with, but the way that the human race came together to fight a common evil, as it were, you know, it is amazing. You know, it's the closest probably to an alien invasion we're ever going to get, you know, to an apocalyptic issue. But
maybe that's next.
Maybe that is next. That's it. I put on a load of weight during lockdown. I think that one person said that the aliens have just put COVID-19 out here to fatten up all of the human race so they can come and eat us all.
They can start with me. They can start with me if they like.
I'm up there. So
I've actually been getting fit. So I bought an exercise bike. I'm using my bike now. I've got more time in my hands. So I'm walking nice long walks in the morning with my dog, who's getting fit too. And I'm using my exercise bike. So I like to think I'm actually being pretty good. And food-wise, I'm not so bad. At first, I was a bit depressed because the business closed down. But then I started realising that, you know, if we're going to be a long time here, I can't keep stuffing myself. So I said I have to behave and think of ways of using my time, in a positive way, which is like getting exercise, being fit, controlling my intake of food and things like that. So I kind of saw it that way. I mean, it doesn't mean that I don't cheat now and again, because I do. But most of the time I've been pretty well behaved.
No, good for you. Good for you. And let's face it, if you can't do it now, when can you?
No.
So, Sarah, I'm going to come over to a bit of a close now. You've given us a fantastic insight into what Malta has gone through and is now looking like coming out the back of this about your week 11. Those of you listening, it is the 1st of June. So you guys are now looking at coming out. So last couple of questions as we do come into a bit of a close now, Sarah. So have you been given any helpful advice, or has anything really helped you throughout this lockdown experience?
Well, I think I've always been a person who prioritised things. Like, first of all, first and foremost, I'm a mum.
Yeah.
So that was all the priorities, my children and my family and whatever. You do get lost, you know, when you have not just having a business, but even on a day-to-day basis when you go to work and everything, you get lost in the activities of life, you know. Sometimes life gets in the way, you know. It stops us from doing the things that we really should be doing. So, like in my instance, cooking, you know, and doing other things, you know, I would normally just take advantage of that, you know. So I've actually learned to appreciate actually doing things now, you know, and I'm actually enjoying it actually. I doesn't mean I don't want to get back to my old routine. I want to get back to the shop and run the business and whatever. I'm looking forward to that. But then again, I think it's taught me that I should now, every now and again, allow myself to take a back step, just to sort of enjoy the little things in life, you know.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing that, but then with this COVID going on, and I had more chance to actually think about it. There's some things I think I could have done a bit more, could have made more time for things, you know, like keeping fit and you know. Family time and things like that. I think now what I've kind of realised that coming out of this, that I should give priority, you know, much more priority to these things, I think, as well, you know. That I have to start looking after myself as well, which is very important, you know, because I work 7 days a week. I tend to sort of like not look after myself, but now coming out of this, I'm thinking, well, you know, I need a bit of me time as well. I need to take care of myself as well. So then if it's come out of this, it's that really. And how precious my parents are. You know, they're 83 years old, both of them. They're still alive, you know, so I just can't wait to hug them. At the moment, we're not really allowed to. But I can't wait to just, you know, hold them and appreciate them more as well, you know.
Yeah, that message.
I think many people feel the same way as me. Yeah.
That's made me think. Yeah, I really miss my parents, miss my grandparents. It's a very trying time, isn't it? Very trying.
Yeah.
Time. You know, hopefully we'll come out of this for the best.
But like I said, life gets in the way. You know, you're in fast forwards, in overdrive, running your, you know, living your life, doing your business, doing your work and whatever, and you try to slot everything in. Everything is an extra. Going to see your parents and going on family activities. That's all extra, and only if I've got time to do it, I will do it. Or doing exercise. If I have time to do it, I'll do it. Whereas really, I think I see it differently. Now it is I have to make the time, you know, to do it. To do all those things that I would say I would try and slot in. I never got round to doing things. I think now this has made me realise that there is time. You can do it. You just have to structure yourself a bit more, you know. Sort of like, you still have to, you know, work and do your whatever. But I think life does get in the way. We tend to go into this fast forward mode, and really we should sit back a bit and realise what's really important and that, you know. I mean, 7 years ago when my son was sick, I did realise that, and it's been 7 years now, and I thought I actually had learned from that, but now I think going through this, it's made me relearn what I learned back then. That to, you know, priorities, you know, you have to prioritise things and make time for others, you know, it's very important. Yeah.
Very much so. Well, you know what, you pretty much answered my second question. I'm gonna ask it anyway, but I think you and you can give the same answer. But Sarah, if you were to be able to send a message back in time, or if you could go back in time to when this all started, to give yourself a piece of advice right at the very beginning of lockdown, what kind of advice would you give yourself?
Oh, let's see. Well, I would say, you know, try to stay positive, you know, prepare yourself. Or, sorry, my dog wants to have a say as well.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself, you know, try think positive thoughts. You know, because at first I was a bit down, you know, and I'm a very happy person, very positive person. But even I got down because it was quite depressing closing the shop door, knowing that I wasn't sure when I was going to reopen it. And I think if I was to go back to that time, I would actually try be more positive. Think of it as a time that I could learn new things, discover new things, and just learn from the whole experience. The first few weeks, I wasn't doing that. I was just thinking negative all the time, which for me is very, very unusual because I'm a very positive person. So I think I would say to myself, put yourself together, stay positive, So I lost those first few weeks. I lost them. Yeah. If I was to go back, I wouldn't have wanted to lose them. I would have wanted to straight away say, come on, girl, get yourself up. You've been through worse and you can do this too. To give myself courage, that's what I would have done, I think.
I love that. I love that. Bit of a real firm talking to, and you got this, and it's just a bit of reinforcement. And you know what? I think everyone went through that.
Yeah, of course.
I was in a bit of a bad place, but I'd written a plan anyway, and we'd stuck to that. But it was hard. But
yeah,
I think you know what, you've been through worse, and you can do this, and I love that. And
but see, I think as humans, we need structure. We need to know what we're doing, where we're going to go, and what's ahead. But with this virus and what's been happening, we don't know that, and that's scary. I want to know what's going to happen, but I know it's impossible because I think nobody knows. I think that's the hardest bit out of all this. That's the hardest thing to accept, is that nobody knows, not even the governments. Nobody knows what's ahead of us, But we have to stay positive. We have to say that there's going to be better days, and the sun's going to shine again.
Yeah, in fact, it is today, and what a fantastic way.
And in Malta, it's cloudy in Malta. It's cloudy, yeah. You took our sun.
Yeah, first time making it. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for today. I'm going to close this.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah.
Don't go anywhere, but I'm going to quickly tell everybody else where they can find, obviously, bits and pieces about yourself, where they can help you with your charity. And all of Sarah's links, guys, will be in the show notes. So if you do feel like you'd like to explore more things that Sarah's been up to, you'll be able to find that in our show notes. Also, if you are paying a trip to Malta, which I do hope to do in the fairly not too distant future, why not pop on over and say hello and do the right thing and donate to Sarah's charity by drinking lots of lovely coffee and having I've looked at some of the stuff as well on your Facebook site as well. Some of the food looks incredible. So yeah, go and have.
Thanks very much.
No, well, of course, I had to have a little look. So guys, thank you.
They're more than welcome. They're more than welcome, but not all at once. Otherwise, I don't know where to put them.
Well, guys, thank you so much for listening or watching today. If this episode has resonated with you, if you have enjoyed it, please press the share button and share us on your social media platform so your friends and family can enjoy it as much as we have taking the actual session. Please do leave us a cheeky comment as well. Keep it kind and keep it clean. And if you do feel like you have a voice and you'd like to help me on my gargantuan task of interviewing 100 people during the COVID-19 lockdown, please contact me on either ABC Gym or just put a little message in the show notes and I will be in contact within the next few days. Thank you again, Sarah, and see you soon.
Bye, take care, bye.